Okay, so we look at our questions number 19. Okay, so this question quite good. They quite help you because they write it, express this fraction into the partial form. And then this partial fraction, they also help you to split it out already, to it one by one, where x squared is repeating. Okay, you can see x squared is not quadratic factor, it's repeating factor. So x squared is like x times x. So that's why this is under concept repeating factor. Repeat, this factor is repeat. So when we have repeating factor, you can see their splitting way will be x, and then the first time is one factor first. The second time will be these two factors together. So when these two factors together, they will write it as x squared. And then this question, they also set it very well for you, where ABC. So what you need to do is find this ABC. Okay, so this is question given. So after we splitting this partial fraction, our next step is forming equation. We will equal the part of numerator. Forming this equation by equal the part of numerator. Then we'll compare their factor at denominator here. So a will be multiplied with the factor it don't have. It only have x, so it will going to multiply with another x. So you can see your factor, your complete factor as here. So this is partially one part only. So that's why this is called partial fractions. So it will multiply with one factor x, another factor it will be x minus 3. So for B will multiply with x minus 3. So for C will be multiplied with x squared. Okay, so after reforming this equation, so this equation is going to help us to find out what is our ABC. Okay, we have three unknowns here. So when we have three unknowns here, we're going to let it three times. So we're going to let, you can see we can let one of the roots is 0. So another value is 3. So another x, we don't have any roots anymore from this factor. So we can use random number. So the random number, I make it 1 so that easier for us to do the calculation. Okay, so it is up to you whatever number you want. Because we have already our roots, so this one we can randomly put a number to help us to find out the unknown. Okay, so when we have x equals to 0, we substitute, we get 9. So 0 times everything 0, so here is negative 3b. So we can find b is negative 3. Then we continue for another x value here when x equals to 3. So we will getting 18. So here 3 times 3 is 0. 0. So 3 squared is 9c. So our c will be equal to 2. So when we have x equals to 1, so it gives us 10. And then this one, it will be 1 times negative 2, it becomes negative 2a. Okay, so we can substitute our b because we get our b value already, that is negative 3 times 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. So c also we have value, so 2, 1 squared become 1. So 2a will be equals to 6 plus 2, 8, then minus 10 become negative 2. So a will become negative 1. So this is how we find out our ABC. So of course, we need to write it back in partial fraction because we need it in second part. Although the question didn't ask us to find it in partial fraction form, but we will rewrite it so that easier for us, preparation for us for the second part questions. So substitute a equals to negative 1, so this one negative 1 over x. B is negative 3, so negative factorize out. C is 2. Okay, so this is our fractions, and this is our partial fractions. So for this part first, so you look at the question for this part, actually their main purpose is asking our ABC for 6 marks. So that's why our marking will be stopped at here. So for the first mark, of course this won't have mark because this is given. So for the first concept is how we get this equation. Then if you have 3 unknown, you must have three value x to substitute. That will be our concept. Then to find out, okay, what is our B, what is our C, what is our A. Okay, so this is how is the concept where we solve our equation to finding ABC. So this is our 6 mark. So this part we don't have mark. So although this is don't have mark, but we need it in this. We need it in integration. So we need to write it. Okay, so we need to write it so that we know for this fraction we can substitute by its partial fraction format. So that will be our first part. Okay, so we continue. For part B, they say hence. When we look at hence, means we have to use our result. Okay, so this is very important keyword hence. Hence means we need to use this result to find this integration. Okay, so we find this integration. So this is defined integration. We have lower limit -2, upper limit 1. So we need to substitute our value. Okay, so when you want to do this integration, you can directly. Okay, so we can directly substitute our partial fraction inside where I need to integrate -2 and 1. So I will integrate it one by one. Okay, integrate one by one so that I will simplify also easier. If we integrate together, it will be complicated. So if make it one by one, where negative I can factorize out. So integrate 1 over x, one part. Then -3 I factorize out. For x squared, I move it up, become power of -2. So then this one, 2, I factorize out. Okay, integrate 1 over x minus 3. So when we have fraction, right, so we can see if our denominator part is power of 1, we will maintain it in the form of fraction so that we can use the formula of fraction to integrate it. But when we have our denominator is power of 2, so we will try to solve by using other formula. Maybe using this, or maybe in the bracket. So depends on the situation. So that's why you can see this format fraction, I remain it in fraction. This also I remain it in fraction, but for this I will simplify it into the x power of -2. So we cannot remain it in fraction form. Okay, in fraction form we don't have that formula, the x power of 2. Okay, so after we simplify, then we are going to start to integrate. Okay, so we can see this. This is ready to integrate. This is also ready to integrate. This is also ready to integrate. So for this, because you can see our fraction formula only two types. Whether you integrate 1 over x or you integrate other function. So if you integrate other function, you just make sure up there is your differential equation, a differential function. So we just double check is our function at denominator is x minus 3, then if we differentiate we get 1. Yes, this is our differential function, this is our function. So this will bring us using formula ln to the denominator function. Okay, so everything is ready to integrate. Therefore, we can get negative integrate ln 1 over x, we get a ln. So we put modulus. Okay, then minus 3 for this part will be power plus 1 over new power. And then for this part, 2 ln to the function x minus 3. So now I combine everything together because they are same limit, upper limit 1, lower limit 2. Okay, I combine it together. So simplify it. Okay, this negative, I can simplify it. Okay, so after I simplify it, then I substitute when we have limit, upper limit and lower limit, we won't plus C. Okay, if the question don't have limit, then we'll plus C. If the question is defined integral, so for upper limit, lower limit, we don't have plus C here. Okay, so if we have limit, we're going to substitute upper limit, substitute 1 into everything, and then minus substitute -2. Then we figure out. We can press calculator and figure out. So for this one, ln 1. Then this one will be positive 3 over 1. Okay, then this will be 2 ln, where you can see 1 minus 3 negative. So that's why that is important. When we put modulus here, we want to make sure our function is defined. If we don't put modulus, in the non function here, then 1 minus negative 3 will be negative 2. It will be undefined. Ln cannot bring something value is negative. So that's why you can see 1 minus negative 3 is negative 2, but after modulus is 2. Okay, so this is our upper limit minus our lower limit. So we substitute our lower limit negative 2 to put here, it will be positive 2. So this negative 2 we put here. Okay, so it will be 3 over negative 2. Okay, then negative 2 we put here, this is negative 5. So after we modulus, we will have positive 5. Okay, so we just figure it out. We just press our calculator. Then that to get our decimal answer. So for this part, okay, so what is important here is how we apply. Okay, so this is our basic how we apply our partial fractions. Uh, then we do our integration. So you'll notice that we have three parts. We have three terms here. So first and second term, they are same concept using integration formula fraction. But in the middle here, that is using this formula. So they have two concept of integration. So that's why our marks here will be this one is for you to integrate fraction. So this is concept of integrate x power of n. So both of these, if you can integrate it correctly, we will get you 1 mark. So you can see this one is correctly, then you get you 1 mark. Then lastly, show us our upper limit minus lower limit, then to get final answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.